Ex-Florida State Trooper Jason Clark, after spending many years serving and protecting the fine folks of Florida from things like, well, this, and sometimes even this, decided his days of crime fighting were drawing to a close and he needed to find something to fill all of his newfound free time. And well, this won't come as a shock to most, considering I'm talking about him on a knife-themed YouTube channel, but Officer Clark took to knife making like a fish to water, and he's been blowing our minds ever since. And now, after years of putting out some absolutely delicious custom pieces, he has partnered with Bestech Knives for his latest production model. And this is it. The Bestech Knives Spanish tip razor, and like anything from Clark Custom Knives, this thing is nothing short of eye-catching from every single angle. The model lies within Bestech's higher-end range of knives, and the materials at play here should tell you all you need to know as to why. M390 for the blade steel, stunning carbon fiber overlays on the handles, gorgeous brass bolsters, all over top of titanium liners, and she's running on cage ceramic bearings. Check and check, everything you want to see on a high-end production knife. And now first off, let's talk about the size. This thing is huge. There's no getting around the size of this thing, opened or closed, and the handle is thicker than a damn Snicker. The closed length is 4 3/4 inches, and opened up, the overall length on this monster is just shy of 8.5 inches. And that buck-wild looking blade, which we will discuss at length, is just shy of 3.7 inches long. So a big boy all the way around. The aesthetics here are just outrageous, I guess. I'm sure I'm not alone when I say I have never seen a folder that looks anything like this. And before we get to that buck-wild blade shape, the handles are relatively simple, kind of old-school classy. All of that beautiful, marbled, swirling carbon fiber paired with that kind of battle-worn bronzy brass on the bolsters and the pocket clip. It's the kind of classy I would expect to see in a museum or an antique store. All of it screams old-world charm. We do have nice and pronounced ergonomic lines for a good grip, and on the bolsters we have these almost unnoticeable micro-milling lines left behind for an extra little pop, an extra little intrigue. And the liners and backspacer have been given that antiqued finish to match the bolsters, and it's all good-looking to me. The pocket clip is just a simple piece of mill titanium held on by 2 screws, and it isn't what I would call deep carry. In fact, it leaves quite a substantial amount of knife sticking up out of the pocket, but it works well and it holds on good and tight. The thickness is due to the fact that all of the pretty stuff is quite literally just stacked on top of the liners. But in pocket and in hand, it isn't unwieldy by any means, still totally usable and carryable. Now there are a lot of screws on this thing, 4 on the show side, 5 on the clip side, but that is only what's on the surface. I did have to take this apart, mainly because you have to take it apart to get to the pivot screw, which is annoying, but it's also pretty cool when you realize how clean this design choice has left the outer layer of the knife. And it again helps to give you that kind of pseudo-antique look. Anyway, peeling away the pretty outer layer reveals several more screws, so if you're the kind of person that likes to field strip your knives, grab a beer, grab a snack, buckle up before you go to work on this piece. Opening it up is where the looks go from classy, old-world, antique to wow, holy fucking shit, what am I looking at? What you're looking at is this knife's namesake, the Spanish tip razor. And I have to think the ever-lovely Seems Logical, who a lot of you should, might know, for the following history lesson. The Philippines, for a long while, were a colony of Spain, and throughout Spain's colonial rule of the Asian nation, the Filipino rebels fighting for independence became revered for their skills with a short sword. And Spain, after growing tired of constantly being shown up by a bunch of sword-wielding native yahoos, decided that something needed to be done. But considering the Filipino short swords were actually necessary agricultural tools used every single day to cultivate the supplies for the Spanish to steal and sell to the West, the Spanish could not simply confiscate every sword and machete and bladed weapon in the country. So they came up with a plan. I'm assuming after many alcoholic beverages had been consumed, they decided that they would let the natives keep their swords. That's fine, keep them. But they were not allowed to have a tip. Thus, the Spanish tip sword was born, and well, history shows this plan didn't exactly work because Spain clearly no longer controls the Philippines. So, Mr. Clark, being a history buff, I assume, made a giant folding pocket version of the swords, thus the wild tipless blade you see before you. And God, what a blade it is. Tip or no tip, this thing is beautiful. A full, flat ground, heavily stonewashed slab of M390, and I mean slab. And it is as straight as an arrow at the cutting edge, and I just love the looks. Again, I just never seen anything like it before or since. So, history lesson over, the ergos. The ergos here are, well, they're exceptional. The handles have this nice gentle contouring all the way around that makes the extra girth a kind of a non-issue. The clip is thin and very low profile, and it's unnoticeable in the palm, and even though we don't have any jimping for added grip, those ergonomic lines lock every finger in just the right place for a comfortable and extremely controlled grip. There is no choke-up area or finger choil, but during my time with this piece, I never found myself needing one, or wishing, one had been added. It is just as comfortable as can be in any and every grip I can think of. And thanks to the overall size and length of the handle, this piece will be great for any of my viewers with bigger mitts. And it's honestly been a dream for my semi-child-sized claws as well. An excellent piece of ergonomic design, for sure. Now, the action on this piece is also, it's just out of this world. This is running on some buttery smooth bearings, and even though Bestech has been known to put out some softer detents in the past, the detent on this piece seems to be pretty well dialed in. It is a flipper and a flipper only, and actuation is good and snappy. Even though that blade is massive and substantially weighty, it rockets out of the handle with some serious authority. Although, thanks to the fact that we have a good amount of blade sticking up out of the handle when it's closed, you can actually get a pretty convincing spidey flick and a solid enough grip for a thumb flick. So even though outwardly it's a flipper only, you've got some options when you go to open it. And again, thanks to the big heavy blade, on the close, this puppy just swings down with some undeniable grace and some antique-y smoothness. It is a liner lock, so it's great for lefties as well. Overall, it's an impressive action for such a strange-looking piece. And finally, last but not least, that blade, that big beautiful tipless blade is just, good lord. It absolutely lives up to the razor part of its name. Thanks to that full flat grind, that final cutting edge is a hair-whittling, atom-splitting death machine. I actually shaved my neck with this thing just to feel like a Spanish colonial for a second, and it cuts hairs better than my $50 Gillette Fusion piece of trash in the bathroom. Paper, cardboard, small Spanish children, all of it stands literally no chance against this thing. It might be the sliciest blade I've come across since I pulled my old Spyderco smock out of the box over a year ago. It really is something you have to experience for yourself. It's a mind-blowingly high-performance slicer, and it has exceeded all of my expectations every single day that I had it in my pocket. It is a freaking plus. So there you have it, the Bestech Spanish Tip Razor by Jason Clark, an impressive modern take on an historic blade, stunningly beautiful all the way around, and a truly excellent action, and a face-meltingly slicey blade at the business end. I really did fall in love with this knife when it arrived via the Apex Passaround Group, and I carried it almost every day for 2 weeks. If you're not afraid of big knives and you're looking for something with great action, excellent build quality, and one of the sliciest blades I've ever come across, boy oh boy, I would seriously take a good look at this thing. Pricing wise, at retail, you're looking at $310, which to me feels about right considering the overall size and the build quality, the materials at play. But shopping around while I write this, you can pick one of these up in most major retailers for around $264, and that, I can say, is an excellent value for money. So, Mr. Clark, this is my first time handling one of your designs, and sir, I am clearly impressed, if that's not violently obvious by now. So, until next time, thank you for watching. Bye-bye now.